Hello. Now, before we dive in, let me give you a quick context. Now, over the 4 past years, I've worked with 10 high-ticket B2B operations agencies scaling past 5 million. Now, SaaS owners, SaaS companies in that painful 10 to 25 million range, and service firms trying to crack 8 figures. And here's the pattern I keep seeing. Now, the founders and the VPs would come to us with what they thought was a closing problem. But when we had audited their pipeline, right, we had find something entirely different. Like the whole problem was not because of a closing problem. Here's the deal. The deals were not dying at the closing part. They were suffocating in the middle. In a zone, what I like to call the pressure chamber. And most operators had no idea it was even happening. So today, I'm going to teach you the pipeline pressure diagnostic. It is a 3-part framework that reveals exactly why your deals are stalling, most importantly, how to fix it. So the pipeline pressure diagnostic is built on one core insight. That is, high-ticket deals don't die from a single event. They die from multiple accumulated pressure across 3 zones. And these are velocity pressures, consensus pressures, and confidence pressure. Before hopping into this thing, let me introduce a little bit about myself. Here is it. I'm Trivandrum. I've scaled over 6 figures agencies past to 7 figure, and they have scaled over 300k in profit in the first month after working with me. So here's what I did for them, for my client, for my biggest client, one of my biggest client. So 200 plus qualified appointments booked per month for them at 5% sold rate, and 140 appointments were closed. And I have been able to generate over 1 million for my client. A lot of testimonials here and there, and I got 22,000 wired for these exact services. Now, think of your pipeline. Think of your pipeline like a hydraulic system. Wait, okay, so think of your pipeline like a hydraulic system because it still flows through these 3 chambers, which are velocity pressure, consensus pressure, and confidence pressure. So when this pressure builds in any chamber and you do not release it, the deal either slows to a crawl or stops completely. That means no money. Apology for my good handwriting. Yeah. Okay, so no money. So most operators only monitor surface metrics like call volume, response rates, states conversion, but these don't tell you where the pressure is building, right? And it does not tell you why the pressure is actually building. So the pressure diagnostic system, which I mentioned above, will give you an heat map of your pipeline's actual health. So let me break it down. Its killer and how to diagnose it. Now, the first one, velocity pressure. Now, this is what happens when deals come loose to lose momentum between stages. So, but not obviously enough to trigger your usual reflex, right? So here's what it looks like. A prospect takes 3 days, 4 days, even 1 week to respond instead of 1 day, right? So they reschedule once, then again. Here is the prospect. He says, reschedule please. You're crying, wah, wah. And here's my art. I'm an artist, by the way. Art. Oh, okay, so you are discounting to create urgency, right? So this pressure builds when there's no internal event forcing the buyer to act, meaning there's no urgency, there's no scarcity, there's no emotion built up to actually force the buyer to act. So they are interested, okay, but there's no organizational pain point compelling them to move now. So what you gotta do is that you do not try to convince them that they do have this problem. try to make them convince themselves that they have this problem. Make them think that the idea, the pain point, the idea was, or the idea to solve this specific pain point was of his or hers. So that's the thing. Okay, so how to diagnose it? So the first thing I told you, which is to make them to write stuff and make them convince themselves. And here's another one: pull your CRM data for the last 90 days. For every deal currently in the States is 2 to 4. Calculate the stage dwelling time. How many days stage dwell time, meaning how many days between meaningful progressions events, right? So if your average dwell time is more than 1.5 times your historical close rate benchmark, you have velocity pressure. You gotta do this first. So here's the specific formula: take your average day to close for won deals in the last year, divide by your number of pipeline stages, multiplied by 1.5. That's your pressure threshold. Any deal exceeding this in a stage is suffocating. Now, number two, consensus pressure. High ticket purchases require organizational consensus, typically 6 to 10 stakeholders in a mid-market and enterprise deals. So, but most operators only have relationships with 1 to 2 of them. So there's the problem, right? Now the risks are forming opinions about you through forwarded emails, second-hand summaries, and internal conversations you are not part of. And when there's no direct relationship, the default answer is no or wait, right? So it is actually simple. How to diagnose it? This one's simple. For every deal in the stages 3 to 5, list every stakeholders who needs to approve, okay? Even informally. It doesn't matter, formally or informally. Now mark which ones you have spoken to. If it's less than 60% of the decision-making committee, you have consensus problem. So the deal is at risk even if your champion is bullish. Now, this one's short. Now, let's go with a confidence pressure. So this is the part where the buyer's internal certainty crisis happens, and it's the most inside us because it happens in silence, right? Now at this pressure, the buyer doesn't trust that you can actually deliver the results. Not your product, you, your team. They do not believe you, okay? They do not believe in your ability to implement successfully in their specific context. So the solutions is to exactly fix it. By what? You gotta be more specific about their context, about their situation, right? So high ticket purchases are carrier risk, right? If your solution fails, your champion takes the heat. So at the moment of truth, they freeze. So how to diagnose it? You gotta be specific about their situation and diagnose their pain point and help them solve their problems specifically. Like, you gotta make the pain point really deep and specific. So this one requires the conversations between you and the champion. Now, for any deal that's stalled for more than 2 weeks, in the final stages, get your champion on the phone and ask this exact question: if you were sitting in my seat and you wanted to make sure this implementation was absolutely successful, nothing overlooked, what would be your biggest concern? So pick one pressure type, fix it systematically, and measure the impact, then move to the next one. Okay, this is the core strategy, right? Now, sustainable pipeline health comes from compounding small fixes, okay? So you just gotta take small steps because it is the life of your business, right? If the pipeline health is fucked up, then the whole business is fucked. So you gotta make it compounding small fixes, not revolutionary overhauls, because big stuff does not happen quickly and does not happen overnight. So you just gotta do compounding small fixes. Now, if you got value from this, subscribe from more framework like this. I did I publish the operational breakdown like this every single day. And also drop a comment letting me know which pressure type you're tackling first. I read every single one and I will give you specific feedback. Thanks for watching. Now go release some pressure. You service people.